Hi guys, my name is Tricia of triciacintamere.com. I am your career consultant and fulfillment coach. I am super excited to be having a conversation with my girl Sondra today. I'll have her introduce herself in just a bit, but we are going to be talking this evening on a topic that I've been focusing on for the month of May, imposter syndrome. So super excited to be having the conversation with you, Sondra. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and what you are up to now?
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Sondra, also known as Anxiously Fit. You can find all the deets about me at anxiouslyfit.com. What I do, I'm an online fitness coach. I actually do not have a background in fitness at all. I currently work in insurance, but just have a passion for the industry. And just a year ago, started to get my certifications. Been helping people for a while now, and decided to make it official. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Why fitness specifically? Is it like, how did you know that that was the path you wanted to go down?
Good question. So I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine actually earlier today. I was telling her because I have a general, natural, nurturing personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a while, I've been like giving people like nutrition tips and like stuff I know about health and fitness. I've always been real generous with sharing it. And honestly, I've always been, I feel like I should have a story like, oh, I was overweight or whatever, but I don't. I mean, I've been skinny most of my life. And then in my 20s, I got where I was kind of like that, I call it sloppy skinny for me personally.
Okay.
And then I just didn't like the way I looked, and I was just like, I don't like this, and so I kind of dived into more. I was like, well, I need to work out. I haven't worked out since like 8th grade. So I was like, well, I'm working out. So I started working out, and then my dad died of cancer, and then I just really dived into nutrition, started looking into food, and start like really like, what should I be eating? What's good for you? What's bad for you? And just kind of got a little bit obsessive at the beginning, but I'm good now. So yeah, I just kind of, and then I dive more into nutrition, and then just kind of combine the two together.
Cool. I love your content, your posts. I love all of the bright colors that you use and all of your tips. So you guys make sure you check her out, anxiouslyfit.com, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So like I said, we are here to have a conversation around imposter syndrome. So what imposter syndrome is the pattern in your head that causes you to doubt yourself, your accomplishments, your achievements, that puts you in basically a constant state of fear, where you feel like, you'll be found out as a fraud, that you are not actually capable of accomplishing, maybe what you've recently accomplished or doing the job that you currently have. And so you're constantly, afraid, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be found out. So, when you talk about imposter syndrome, there are lots of, I think, different pieces that come into play, just having a good understanding of yourself, or, self-esteem, self-doubt, things like that. And what I am really trying to highlight is that imposter syndrome is a real thing that happens to real people. Like, it is not something to be ashamed of. Like, it happens. I think that the more important thing is to understand and have that awareness, like, okay, this is what's going on with me, so that you can overcome it or make a plan to, find a way to work around it so that it doesn't prevent you from doing the things that you want to do and accomplishing those goals that you want to accomplish. So, Sondra, I wanted to ask you, since you have, kind of made a transition in an area where you didn't necessarily have a background, like, have you had any experiences with imposter syndrome? Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I didn't even start out as Anxiously Fit. It started out, my blog was called Balanced Life Anxious Girl. And it was more focused on just like anxiety.
Yeah.
And so it was more focused on mental health and just more about like my personal growth, like how I was this girl and then I became this girl, and then how I balanced becoming this new girl. And so what I came to, or what I had struggles with, is when I was starting my blog, I prepared for it for like 3 months, which I could have easily like launched it in a month or two because I already had the content, had the ideas. But I was like, is it ready? Am I ready? I struggle with more of people knowing the old, like who Sondra used to be, you know, and are they going to accept Balanced Life Anxious Girl? Are they going to accept Anxiously Fit? Are they going to be willing to give her an opportunity to know her because they're basing who I am off of who I used to be?
Right.
And so I struggle with putting content out or putting like bearing myself out and just being vulnerable because I'm like, oh, they're not gonna believe me. Oh, they're not gonna believe this growth or this change. And oh, no one's, you know, happy all the time, and no one, you know, no one's just that great. And I wasn't even trying to portray that person, but I was worried that people would perceive me that way.
Right.
And so so it was just tough trying to find that balance and trying to figure out like who I really am,
Right.
versus who people perceive me to be. And those are people who know me in the past and not people who know me in the present. So that's still a constant struggle, you know, because I don't have a background in fitness, and I don't know squat about blogging. you know, and I've learned that you just kind of put it out there and then you just improve on it. You're like, okay, that didn't work, you know, do that. But I've always struggled with like insecurities, like, is this article enough? I read it like 3 times. I have another friend read it, have my husband read it. And I'm just like, well, I never done it. Is my writing any good? Are people gonna like it? And it doesn't matter, you know. I've been focusing on if just one person comments and says, "Oh, that's good. Oh, I like it." I'm like, okay, I'm winning, you know, like
exactly.
Yeah. But it is tough, and it is tough having to realize that certain friendships and certain relationships are going to shift or change because of what you're doing and because of your growth and because of where your life is heading. And that's okay. It doesn't make you, I heard people tell me, oh, you changed, or oh,
you're supposed to change.
Yeah, or oh, you know, you're not really like that. Oh, you're doing that for clout. And I'm just like, how is someone telling their truth for like clout? Like, you know, like what am I gaining by putting my shit out there, you know?
Right. No, I agree. I would say that I've experienced a little bit of that. So my background is in HR. So what I'm doing with Control Alt Delete from like a fulfillment coaching standpoint and a career consulting standpoint is in my wheelhouse. Like, I know what I'm doing. And even still, you know, I've worked for big companies and now kind of transitioning to building something under my own. It's like, well, you know, Tricia, you've done this for big companies. Who are you to do it on your own? Like, and it's crazy that that's the thought process, because I very much know what I'm doing from like guiding someone from a career standpoint. Now, the business side of things, that is definitely where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And so I'm like learning everything from scratch. But like even something that I know, like the back of my hand, hiring, resumes, you know, navigating a career, that is stuff that I really know. And even still putting it out there, it's like, is this good enough information? Or, you know, what if I go out on my own and it's like, I'm not actually, you know, that great of a career coach? And just having to work through those things. And like I said, having that self-understanding and like, hey, this is what I'm good at, and being confident in what I know is kind of how I've had to navigate some of that. And like having those consistent positive conversations with myself in that regard, because it's like, Tricia, you are a damn good career consultant. Like, there are receipts. So, you know, don't like get small and like swallow yourself. because you're having some of those, crazy thoughts, right?
Yeah, that negative self-talk. I'm always like, oh, am I worth this amount? Are people gonna pay for me to be a fitness coach when I'm not an athlete like some of these, fitness coaches are,
Right.
or I'm just Sondra, that lives in Garland. I'm like, there's nothing special, about me, but I'm me. So I feel like that's special enough, but it's hard, like sometimes delivering that, not delivering that, but feeling that way all the time
Right. Right.
with
No, that
everything.
makes sense. That makes sense. So I mean, I feel like the conversation is naturally kind of going that way, but as far as like coping and overcoming, so we talked about positive self-talk. Are there other things that you do when I mean, I guess a better question is, how do you recognize when imposter syndrome is creeping in? Like, how do you get to that aha moment where you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what is happening, or I have a feeling like this is what might be going on in my head. This is how I move from point A to point B.
Okay, like how do I snap out of
Yeah, like how do you
yeah.
see, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and then how do you move past that?
Oh yeah. So normally I either like crank up some like woman self-empowering music, like some Beyonce, some Taylor Swift, Mariah, and just kind of like remind myself like you have a blog. You did this blog on your own with no web experience. Just kind of like, I don't know, like repeat what remind myself what I have done,
Mm-hmm.
and where I came from. So mainly just saying that out loud. I read affirmations. I love affirmations. Like I read them daily. Either I'm posting them on my Facebook pages, or I'm like reading them for myself. I love podcasts. Sometimes I just kind of crank up a good one that just kind of like, I love Oprah Super Soul Sundays.
Okay.
I love Rachel Hollis Rise, and that's a really good one too. Just something that I just kind of scroll through. I'm like, what do I need? What do I need to hear? Like, what's gonna
Your
get me through?
catalog.
Yeah, so I'm like scrolling through the titles. I'm like, okay, I need some of that, or I listen to a good book, like I love Kevin Hart's I can't make this shit up. It's like a good laugh, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
good like motivation, just kind of remind you that, everybody has a struggle.
Right.
You're not I'm not alone,
Right.
whether someone's telling me or not. And also I just kind of check out, like I stay away from social media like for a little bit. Just besides my post, I'll post, but then I'm just like, I'm not scrolling. So I
Mm-hmm.
spend less time scrolling, because you can get caught up and compare yourself to others and where they are
Yep.
and where you are. And so I just stay off, and I'm like, I'm just going to create, I'm just going to write. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
figure out who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So before, we started this conversation, I had mentioned that I want to highlight imposter syndrome as something that is a very real thing that everyday people experience. I feel like there is kind of this shadowy cloud around imposter syndrome. I feel like it's really just come to the forefront, or, even being a topic that people are familiar with at all in the last couple of years. And how do we bring this topic into conversations in spaces with like your girlfriend, or your girlfriends, or your spouse, or people that you do business with or you see on a regular basis? Like, have you had any conversations like that? Like, what is the feel on the topic, maybe around some of your personal circles?
Um, I guess I don't like, we talk about imposter syndrome, but it's not worded as imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't realize that imposter syndrome is just you realizing your insecurities and saying them out loud,
Right.
and being okay with telling your friends like, hey, can you look over this and tell me what you think? And can you be honest with me about it? Because I need like your honest opinion about it.
Right.
And just kind of voicing like to my husband, like, oh, I don't feel like I'm right for this, but he's like, and he's always like, but you did this, this, and this, he's like, but you're taking all the steps, like what is going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so also I'm finding a good circle of people with similar interests and similar goals, to kind of have that conversation with, because honestly, you can't have it with anyone because they're not going to be open to it or listen to it or even understand it, because they're not there and they're not pursuing. And as you know, people, they haven't found their passion or their purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure that's what you do, is help people find their passion and purpose. And you can tell, and you can't really tell them, oh, you have at the beginning you're having imposter syndrome, because they don't really know
Right.
what it is. That they are, what their passion is, or who they want to be, besides where they are now.
Right.
So I hope that makes sense.
No, no, it totally makes sense. You know, and maybe the thing is that people are having these conversations with people that are close to them. It's just not being, you know, tagged or labeled as imposter syndrome. But I feel like the more people can have these open conversations with their supporting cast, that's how I reference it in my book,
I like that.
Sick of This Shit, is your supporting cast. You know, people that will give you honest feedback, people who are kind of familiar with your background, who can kind of help you level set and say, hey, you know, this is your background. These are the things that you can do. Like, you know, you're not a fraud, because there's nothing to be found out. Like, you can do this, and you should be confident, you know, moving forward from that. So cool. Any other thoughts around imposter syndrome, around, you know, maybe how it's played a part in your life or shaped any other things that you would like to share?
Well, yeah, I think just like with starting my blog and becoming a fitness coach, has made me like understand myself more.
Okay.
And I feel like that helps you kind of tackle or fight imposter syndrome, because if you know who you are, if you acknowledge and address those insecurities, then you can face them.
Right.
I think a problem a lot of times is we don't want to say out loud, oh, you know, this jiggly arm makes me feel, self-conscious. So I don't wear, tank tops, or saying, hey, large crowds make me nervous or anxious. It's just being okay with admitting what causes you anxiety or what causes you stress, and just knowing who you are, what your triggers are, who you are, kind of helps you more overcome that. And so I had to fight with that, and mainly just more like people closest to me, like I mentioned earlier, that knew me growing up or knew the founder from 10 years ago, and they're like, oh, but you're this way. And I'm like, oh, but I'm not that way. And being okay with to stand up for yourself and say, that's not who I am. And if you change and if you've grown, that's okay.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're a fraud or you're a phony. Just embrace it, and then, like you say, find your people.
Yeah, find your cast.
Find your cast. There you go. Supporting cast. Find your supporting cast and build upon that. That's really important. I love that, Tricia.
Thank you. Cool. Well, thank you, Sondra, for being so open and sharing your experience. I think that highlighting, that people are just people. Everybody has their own struggles that they are working through, and, trying to just be their best selves. So it's important to continue to have these conversations, and I appreciate you taking the time. So make sure you guys check her out, AnxiousslyFit.com, for all of your fitness things. She also always wears a lot of bright colors, so I always love that. She got her pink on today. But yeah, if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, anything to add to the conversation, please share. Again, my name is Tricia Sitamire with TriciaSitamire.com, and I look forward to keeping the conversation going. Onward and upward. Bye.